Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, your paranormal portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together. Welcome to This Side of the Gate, and tonight we finally have for you a little bit of a reveal from our Gettysburg bash and the investigation that I went on. I was so lucky to go on with Keystone State Paranormal Society. That's right, they're back. My listeners loved them. You wanted them back, and we got them for you. And tonight they're just full of all kind of information. In fact, they've been driving all day. They never stop. They are back on the road again, and they actually took the time tonight to talk to us from their investigation in Kentucky, I believe. So please welcome again to This Side of the Gate, Keystone State Paranormal Society, and a couple of surprise friends. Everybody introduce yourself. Welcome to This Side of the Gate.
Well, I'll go ahead and I guess initiate. Welcome, Sysco.
Thank you.
For the listeners, real quick, we were, Dave and I and Haley, the members of KSPS, and Mike, we were privileged to have done an investigation with Sysco here back at the Gettysburg Bash. So that was our first time we actually got to meet face to face. And what I have to say as our group, we were very impressed with her style and her experience, and of course, the results sort of spoke for themselves.
Aww.
So what else introduce? I'm Jim. I'm one of I'm the old dude with the group.
Okay. Who else do we have there? Do we have Dave? Is Dave there?
I'm Dave. I'm Jim's son-in-law, one of the co-founders of the group.
Hey, Dave.
And we are blessed to meet Sysco through our Facebook and to have her make the trip out to the bash to visit with us. And things went unbelievably well.
It was wonderful. It was just wonderful. And it was wonderful meeting all of you guys. It was a thrill from beginning to end, and I can't wait to do it again. Is Mike with you tonight?
Yes, thanks,
Hi.
Sysco. Go too. How are you?
Hi, terrific. And we have Haley too.
Hey, Sysco. Yep, I'm here.
Babe. Hi, babe. And we have another guest, and that is Lola, I hear?
That's correct.
Let me come a little over. Yes, hi.
Hello, how you doing? Terrific. The gang is all here. So basically, like I said, we have Keystone State Paranormal Society. They are out of Pennsylvania. And tonight you are where?
We're in Walton, Kentucky at the Benton Family Farm.
Wow. Just forever on the move. Just forever on the move. They're just amazing.
It's across the river from Cincinnati. We're about, I guess, maybe like 15, 20 miles into Kentucky. So we're just into Kentucky, but we're a mere about 85 miles from Louisville, and we know what that stands for.
That is awesome. So let me catch the listeners up. We've been talking about this for a while, and if you missed it, it's one of the most popular episodes we have so far. I'm up to 32 now on Journey Through the Gate. And one of the most popular episodes was the episode that we had Keystone State Paranormal Society on. And we just talked and had a ball. And like Dave said, we met each other through a friend of ours, Tammy Knighton. And I just clicked with you guys on your Facebook Live show. They do Facebook Live show off their page, and then also with Paranormal Live, and you do a couple of other Blog Talk radio shows. And we met, and through wonderful circumstances, we wound up, Gettysburg Bash, put on by Pam Barry and
Steve.
Yes, and Steve Barry. out of the Gettysburg Ghost Exchange out there. A fabulous weekend, and it's all based on helping wounded warriors in Pennsylvania. And I'll tell you what, it was a wonderful weekend. We went down to the Wyndham Hotel, beautiful, beautiful hotel. And I mean everything from live bands to probably 25 to 28 different paranormal groups, everything ghost and paranormal you can imagine. And the best part about it was getting to meet all of you and getting to really get down deep and take, that thing I hold to my heart dear is leave no man behind. And we wound up in a couple of places and we got to help some people, and I thought it was amazing. We got to go to the Thomas property. And do you guys want to talk a little bit about how things were for your vantage point? It was just such an amazing time.
Yeah, Mike, you want to start off because you were involved with all that.
Yes, it was very amazing. I believe it was the first night, Friday night after the opening day of the bash, that we all got the privilege to go to the Thomas House in the Haunted Trails. And, of course, you were there. And I remember the session that you, James, and I did in the cellar or the basement. It was just amazing as Jim led the way with the Phasma box. And you and I kind of did a tag session, so to speak, realizing that there was many soldiers that were there. Some of them were there possibly wanting to move to a better place of the light, and the others were there by their own choice. And once again, it was just amazing to watch how you were working and communicating and connecting with the spirits, and it was a phenomenal session.
It truly was, and we've talked about this in our first episode that we did with Dave and James and I, and it's about chemistry. It's about that we were all there for the same intent. I remember, I don't know who went down first because there was so much commotion going on in the house, but there were people going down the cellar, and then there were people coming up out of the cellar really quick. It was just like, we're not supposed to be there. We're not supposed to be here, And I just felt like my son was with me. He was right behind me. He goes, "Mom, they're leaving. Why are you going down?" And I'm like, "Because I'm supposed to." I just feel it.
And they made it very, very clear that I was not to stay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you were there for something else we found out later, but it was amazing. When we walked down, I don't know how you felt, James, or you felt, Mike. I know there was a couple other people with us, but it just felt like there was a little group of people. I think Terry was there, or Amanda was there, and a couple of other people that were standing in a little group, and they were looking at that thing that does the stick figures. I forget what that's called.
SLS, right.
Right. And it was almost like they were in a little group and they were fine. They were just supporting everything we were doing. And Mike went down. He started with the flashlights. I think it was 2 flashlights. And right away, they were answering Mike right away, and the questions he was asking, yes, no, shutting off the lights on and off. And Jim was sitting off to the side. And I was just kind of standing there feeling the whole thing. And I forget exactly how many they said. I think at one point we asked how many soldiers were there. And
yeah,
I think they said 11.
Yep.
And that was about what I got. Now, I got that there was a couple of other ones there, but they were in the back and they weren't having any of it. They were, they were staying. I think this is kind of like a collection of people here, but there were some that were willing to listen to us, and they were listening to Mike. And I don't know, guys, how were you feeling at the time? You were kind of getting the same vibe, weren't you?
Mike, you were right in that when you were the one that sort of querying how many were there. I had that tape on the box. Yeah, Mike was actually, I think at that time, querying as far as how many soldiers were there and trying to delineate between the Confederates and the Union soldiers. Mm-hmm. And that's where there were 9 Confederates at the time. Mm-hmm. And So we actually have that. And then we'll send some of these over that you might be able to, if you care to add this into your show, or that I can
Sure.
send some week. You'll hear it very clearly where they say 9. Mike's asking questions, and then that we'll send the tapes of that over. And then what was really interesting is that's really, once we sort of had a figure, that's when I think we started keying in on soldiers, and that's when you came into play. I think they're listening to the tapes where Mike got some information, then it seemed to back off from him, and that's sort of when you came in almost on cue and took over.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was, they were reluctant. They were there, and I think we could all feel them,
Mm-hmm.
but they wanted to come forward. And then that's where I have to say I was really, I really enjoyed sitting back and watching. And of course, I'm running the Phasma box. You sort of got their confidence, and then basically got their trust, and basically were cueing them, reasons why you were here.
Mm-hmm.
And then feel, from my vantage point, you could actually feel them coming closer, starting to. And then we saw that with the Phasma box. The answers speeded up. A lot of times we were getting immediate responses to the questions that were being asked. Mike joined in with some critical questions.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly but surely, we gained the confidence of those soldiers. And then finally, you could sense them right there, and they were very willing to communicate. And at that point, making their needs known.
Right. I'll never forget that one that was saying, what we did was, I believe you and Mike played a Civil War song that was, like for both sides, just to kind of lighten the air a little bit. And I could feel them coming up to where they were kind of reluctant. But the thing was, some of them were still caught in what I say their death state. They were still in pain. Like one would say that he was covered in fire or something. His skin was burned.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I couldn't think of anything else to do. So kind of like my go-to is just to sing. So I sang Amazing Grace. And when I sang Amazing Grace, they all just kind of...
Right, that was an icebreaker. No two ways. You could sense that.
Mm-hmm.
And you follow up to all this, I guess this is maybe about a month afterwards, the last Saturday in September was National Paranormal Day. And we hosted that for the Thomas family. Again, Mike was there assisting us, and I was actually doing the basement sessions with the Phasma box, and we had 3 different groups of people who came in. The groups averaged between 6 and 8 persons. And throughout those sessions, the middle session, the second session I had, there's a picture that Terry came down and got, and it seems to show a Confederate soldier. Hugo got that picture. Hugo is one of the participants and his wife, and that's posted on our Facebook page, and I think I sent you a copy of that photo reference. Mm-hmm. Now, in all fairness, they tried debunking it, and there's a couple things which seem a little problematic, but there's also things that seem inconsistent with shadowing or whatever. And Dave has actually sent a copy of Hugo's picture to a friend of his who is a photographic expert. Mm-hmm. Sort of waiting the verdict on that. Right. But we all sort of felt that there was shadowing and other things in that picture that we really felt comfortable thinking we captured an apparition. And in that same session, one of the individuals who was with us, guy's name is James Houston, and he's an experienced paranormal investigator. He has a team in both Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. Anyhow, he got overcome in that session to the point that it took 3 of us to assist him out of the basement. I mean, his legs were like rubber. Mm. And it was, as we got him out and he started to recover, I specifically asked Spirit, I said, Spirit, did you affect Jim? And the spirit answered yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, why did you affect Jim? And spirit stated it was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
So, with seeing that photograph and seeing what happened with Jim, the experienced paranormal investigator, and putting everything else together, I suspect that was a picture of an apparition. I really do. But
I was feeling that too when I saw it. I was feeling that too. But that basement, there's a lot more going on there. It's like it's drawing them from outside as well. It's like no end to the amount of them. We could go down there every night and cross people, and it's still going to be more people down there because they're coming and going. But that session that we did, I remember standing there saying, after we lifted the air with the music and they were listening, that's when we all got together and tried to connect them into the love, the feeling of love, because it's so hard to get them to remember that energy. They miss loved ones. We've talked about this before, getting them into that higher vibration, but they were kind of ready then. And I remember asking, does anybody here want help? I'm here to help you. And it said, please. Yeah. And then on the box that spells the words, I don't know the name of it, but that said help at the same time. So we're like, that's when Mike and I stood there and like, they're ready. Let's do this.
The thing I can still picture very vividly in my mind is after we connected and we're trying to move them on, urge him, we're talking spiritual things and moving toward the light.
Mm-hmm.
You feel the energy totally change in that base.
It did.
I mean, it went from a certain density, it lightened up enormously,
mm-hmm.
and you that there were less spirits in that basement
right.
than when we.
And there was that woman, remember, that she came through and she said she was there. And once we asked them if they saw the light, and we asked their loved ones to come over and basically let them know. We said to call out their names, And she said, that's simple. I'll never forget hearing that. She goes, that's simple. Like all this time she had been here, and it was that simple. It blew my mind. It was amazing.
We have been in a subsequent, it was late on the night of the National Paranormal Day, and Mike, Dave, myself, Haley, and a few others that were still there, we were back down in the basement in the far back area, which is where you were addressing the soldiers, maybe just a little bit to the right of where they were. And that's when Haley really sort of picked up and was guiding us. There was a family of slaves down there.
Mm-hmm.
There was one male presence. There was, we think they were actually French, like French speaking French, West African,
mm-hmm.
but it was a slaves. The male was the dominant alpha figure, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And female was there, and they had children. I think 3.
I picked up on 3 children: a boy, a girl, and an infant boy.
Oh.
And we just about did everything we could to try to move them over, and they were just there. I mean, it was like a breath away. But we think the issue was the black-white thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not all white, and they were obviously black, and they were very trustful of us because of our skin color.
Right.
And as much as we tried to, they verified they saw the light. They verified that they saw loved ones in the light. I mean, it was that close. But
they really. You remember Mel?
Yeah.
She was there. She's African American. She was born in Africa. And I was there with a girl named Bobby, and I went back with the SLS just to show her all the map figures that are always there. And I had mentioned, because they started speaking French over the phone, we could hear it, and I had mentioned to her how I saw the situation and how I perceived it, and she was like, oh, well, Mel was born in Africa, and I was like, we need her over here. So she came over, and they were going nuts. They absolutely loved her.
Now, all that, we didn't move them all. I mean, we all, you can tell again, the atmosphere did not change.
Right.
Oh my gosh, it was almost heartbreaking because we were that. It was pretty dramatic, I felt.
Well, you remember that morning I told you that you were going to be talking to someone more, and I said it wasn't a soldier, it was going to be more of the, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They're
all
going to
that.
just need a little more, let's just not give up on them. We'll have to go back. It's like therapy, a little at a time, and just tell them.
It signifies that was involved with the Underground Railroad.
Yep, see?
Property. So,
yeah, I thought so. And it's because they have children, too. I think that if that man had been by himself, that's the one I was kind of connecting with. If he had been by himself, he would have gone. But it has to do with the children, that they've had to protect them for you know what I mean? There's more involved, yeah. So, yeah, maybe we'll have to send somebody over to come and actually get them and walk them through. Because if they got that close, then we're that close to helping. You know what I mean? That's amazing.
Yeah, in the basement, then I think that segues into our last session of the evening, which Stone's sense was quite remarkable. And Dave, you were an intimate part of this. So
yes,
this soybean field.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, just to sort of explain how you had up to that point felt out of...
I completely felt useless. I had no purpose. The spirits in that basement, at least then, I'm free to go down there now, apparently, but back then, they made it abundantly clear that I was not welcome. Mm-hmm. And I was to push it. I wasn't going to antagonize them. I was going to respect what they wanted and make myself scarce. But you guys were having such an amazing session down there, and things were moving in such a positive direction that I was outside for what felt like an eternity, literally just sitting on the tail of my truck and wondering, maybe I should just drive home and come get them when they're done, because I don't need to be here right now. And then when you guys came out, I actually expressed that to Haley. I'm like, let me know when you guys are done. I'm going to go take a nap because I don't need to be here. And that's when you had walked up and said, you need to be here. We just haven't figured out for what yet. Mm-hmm. And so then we made our way across the street to the edge of the soybean fields. And I think everybody was Jim, yourself, Haley, Mike, myself, Terry, and Amanda. And using the divining rods and your questions, they singled me out as the person that they were trusting enough to go out into that field. Mm-hmm. And, then it obviously became clear to myself as well as everybody else that that's why I was supposed to be there.
Right.
So I went only 15, 20 yards into that field, feel completely with honor that they had chosen me, mm-hmm. With a number of other vets that were there at the time. Mm-hmm. It was to show they have no judge of character.
But one quick funny note was that before David asked permission, I was telling him that I was a Navy veteran. Uh-huh. Would it be okay in the field? And apparently they didn't want me to go in the field, so I honored that, and then Dave stepped forward.
Right. We went down. We were asking him with the divining rods. I was there, and I kept getting this feeling like there was, I'm going to tell you, if I said there was 50 standing in front of me, that's a low number. I mean, I know that sounds insane, but there was just so many. And the ones that, of course there was ones behind that really didn't pay any attention to us at all. And then there was the ones like, okay, what's happening now? And Mike and I had gone up there earlier, and I said, okay, we're coming back to this field. They're not ready yet. I went out there to speak to them, and they were just, I had to do the whole approach with, I promise you I was a soldier. Do you remember how women used to wear, uniforms and fight with you, and you gave them honor because they were doing the same thing you were doing, because they wanted to be with their husbands or boyfriends. And, we all know that happened during the Civil War because they were angry I was wearing pants. They were like, you have no respect. What's going on here? They're very confused. I got them calmed down, and I said, look, if you don't want to speak to me, I'll honor that. Let me go get you a man. So I go and I grab Mike by the shirt and I practically drag him across the street. And I said, you have to talk to them. It was so funny. And Mike came and he told him about being in the Navy. I said, well, we'll come back later. I want you to get everybody who's willing to talk to us, and tell them we'll be back. And that's when we went back across with everybody, and we went right down the line, and they said, no, no, no. And then we got to Dave, and they said, yes. And Dave just went, okay, that's why I'm here. And on they went. Because I think it was, this is just my take, and I could be wrong. The whole time, Dave, when you were there, I was picking up that you had about 4 around you. They were drawn to the things that you had been through. You'd been through a lot of things they'd been through. And you were also picking up on their pain and depression. Do you know what I mean? And their sadness. And it was working on you a little bit that night. And they wanted to show you that you were one of them.
Absolutely.
I thought it was so cool.
When it comes to the feeling, the speaking, and the intimate relations with those on the other side, I rely on Haley, Janet, people like yourself, because I don't have any of those abilities whatsoever. I'm a log. I'm dead like a log when it comes to that type of stuff. But for some reason, that night in that field, I can't know why they were there. And it wasn't to go. It was not to leave permanently. They had been standing that post for 150 years. And they wanted a shower. They wanted a change. They wanted a hot meal, and they wanted some sleep. They wanted someone to come relieve them for a shift or two so they'd go relax a little bit and then come back and resume their post. While I was out there, I spoke to them in military jargon, what little I can still remember, and their shift had ended, and I was there to relieve them of their post, and they can go and stand down and do what they need to do. And when they were done, then they can come back and relieve me. And you could absolutely feel. Yeah. It literally was like, when you fall asleep in a weird position, you wake up and your arm's asleep, and it's that pins and needles. Well, I everywhere. What really got me was what you and everybody else had relayed to me was happening behind me while I was out there.
Yeah.
So
there was so many fireflies that you could see coming from around the field, and they just kind of went around you. They was going behind you and, and all around you at the same time. And I kept saying to, I believe it was Amanda that was standing next to me, and I'm like, do you see that? Is it me? I couldn't tell whether I was seeing energy or they were fireflies, the way it all came through and together. It was amazing. And then we were getting answers. We've got EVPs on the tapes that were being done. And then I said, he's out there to honor you. We're all here to honor what you did here. And then it came across the word honor. And it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. We might not have been able to cross them, but we gave them a little honor, and that was awesome.
For the listeners here, if you will go to the Facebook page, Haunted Trails of Gettysburg, Haunted Woods of Gettysburg, there's been, and thumb through that, from that night and from the couple weeks afterwards, there's been some really neat photographs. There's rotational orbs people have captured. There's partial apparitions. There's a face of a partial apparition of a little girl out there at Mary's grave. So that's on that, again, Facebook page, Haunted Woods. Haunted Trails of Gettysburg. There's some amazing shots in there. Also, shots of that picture we talked about in the basement. And then Dave, when we did the National
National Ghost Hunting Day.
National Ghost Hunting Day, Dave and Haley stayed. We were all invited to stay the night. Mike and I headed back to my place. Haley and Dave stayed there with the Thomas family. And in the morning, Dave had a couple really neat experiences. Why don't you just touch base on those?
Yeah, I got up in the morning, and everybody was still asleep. So I went down and was packing the equipment in my truck. While I was standing in the kitchen, if you remember the layout of their home, when you're in the kitchen facing the front door, there's windows to the left and right, and you see out onto the porch and in the front of the yard. And the window on the right, to the right of the house, leads over to where you go back towards the haunted trails. So as I was grabbing some gear and some bags, I looked up and just caught a blur in that right side window, and it was unbelievably quick. Like a split second later, I would have missed it. So I knew I saw something, so I went outside. There's nobody out there. And I went back inside and looked, and everybody's still asleep. So I went back out, and I looked back into the trails, and back by that shack, about halfway back in the trails, I could see a gray figure walking back and forth between one of the trees in that shack.
It's amazing.
This was the morning after that evening, as the light was really just, getting around.
The sun had just come up.
Mm-hmm.
And I know come this upcoming year with the Gettysburg Bash, and I know we're a good ways off of that, but again, just to throw out there for everyone that they can hear, we have verified and obtained, we will have the Thaddeus Stevens house be doing some private investigations out, and that is a very unique and new area of Gettysburg. And in addition, we've also obtained permission to go on a property that we're going to be using to put you and some of our other guests up. And this particular property happens to be right in a section of the battlefield where a wave of grade was involved in Pickett's charge.
Wow.
It's not been gated. It hasn't been open to the public yet, but we'll be the first ones going in there. So we've got, and then of course we'll still have the haunted trails. So
it's just it's I can't even find a word to describe. I know so many of us are connected to the Gettysburg, and we've talked about that before. It's like, why do we keep getting drawn back there when I've got battlefields 5 miles from here? There's a certain draw that Gettysburg has always had for me, and I know you guys too. And the minute, before you ever even get to the town, you can start feeling it. It's just, I'll just keep going back and back and back till, I'm worn out. And I know a lot of people feel that way. But boy, the Gettysburg Bash, it's just you're there not just for, the paranormal. Of course, that's what we're all interested in, but we're also there for the soldiers. And we kept, among us and our group and so many others there, it's okay. Leave no man behind. But these guys and, their loved ones or the townspeople that had to stay behind to clean up for months and months and months and help the wounded and bury the dead, they're there too. That whole land echoes with this battle, and there's nothing like it. And the Gettysburg Bash was just an amazing experience from beginning to end, to be with that many people of like-minded, and then have all of that around us at the same time. It's almost overwhelming. It really is. And to be able to be there with you guys and do some of the things we did, to hear some of the spirits come back with the words that they were saying to us, that one lady, like I said, she says, it's that simple. And she was gone. She's like, she was shocked, How long had she been there? We'll never know. But now she's where she should be, and that's just amazing. And then some, like Mary, we were outside, and the young girl, and she comes back and visits. She's not stuck. She's totally knows what she's doing. She back and forth, and she was talking to us and answering us, and we all sang to her, and she just loved it. And I just think it's going to be a place where they gather for a long time. Do you all feel that way too?
Yeah, I mean, even with all of the visitation that Gettysburg had, I mean, let's face it, you look at all the ghost tours that are ongoing, and some of those properties have sort of been almost done to death,
Right.
and yet you're still there.
Yeah. Well, there's so many. And it's not just the ones
You're
that
not.
were in the battle, you know.
I've got a really interesting question I'd like to get your take on. This past week, I was listening to, and I know I'm going to butcher her last name, but her name's Mary Wisniewski. She was the medium consultant on that old show Ghost Whisperer that was on a number of years ago.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes.
Of Hewitt. And she identifies herself not as a medium or sensitive, but as a paranormal investigator.
Mm-hmm.
She out openly, she just sees earthbound spirits. She doesn't get crossed over.
Right.
And so reflections are on a lot of that. And one of the questions that was asked her was about, like occasionally we hear cases where people aren't aware that they're past. And she goes, well, almost, she says, where that might occur in rare cases, she said, how can you not know you're not dead? Because you basically are down looking at yourself from some other vista that, let's face it, not used to seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about that, and I said, well, where does that leave the soldiers? Because I think almost all of us that were on that field
Mm-hmm.
feel very strong. Like you said, those soldiers are either, they're stuck there for whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're either duty, or some of them I know we've gotten, the battle's still ongoing. That's
Mm-hmm.
why we have restrictions on the use of flashlights. So, and I'm not disputing what she's saying, but I'm just wondering what's in play there that those soldiers maybe in some cases aren't really aware they're dead. Why are they not visible like that?
Right. The way I could answer that, and I'm nobody, but I've thought about it myself. And basically the only thing, it's just like being a computer. The computer can only work with the data that's in it. So if you have dealt with, let's just call it a gift or ability. If your ability is in one realm where you mostly deal with earthbound spirits, you're only going to be able to say, okay, I can only give you information on what I've seen and what I've dealt with. And most of them are that way. But I know I've been on that soybean field. There were some that had no clue they were dead. They were going through the same things that they would have gone through, and they've been going through it. Time is different. And then you've got, like we said, the residual, who it's not a spirit at all. It's just an imprint of some kind, and I could never explain that. But I have had conversations, if you want to call it that, via dowsing rods or along those lines, and they're painstaking because you have to go through a lot of questions to get something, and you want them to be beneficial questions. You don't want to waste their energy. Where they were actually surprised. And one I spoke to was like, okay, I thought so. Something was wrong. It just depends on what state they're in. Because, Jim, look at it. How many different people do you know? Everybody acts differently. And then you add in all of this. So, of course, you're going to have so many different versions of an earthbound spirit. Some are caught in their death state. Like that one poor man, when we went down in the cellar, and he was, no matter what you asked him, he was talking about his skin was burning. He was in pain. He was going through that over and over and over and over, Whereas other ones that were there kind of had an idea that something was up, but they didn't want to leave where they knew they were comfortable, much like the ones I spoke to under the tree on the field. So I just think it's different spirits, and if you're up and above and looking from a different vantage point, like we hear about these near-death experiences, like say maybe somebody dies in an operation and they can look down and say everybody, they can see them from above. I don't know if that changes. I really don't know, but I know personally my data that I can put in my computer is I've spoken to them that didn't have a clue. I have talked to ones that were standing right next to another one and wasn't even aware the other one was there. I don't know. Has everybody there had experiences like that?
You know, and we also talk about the fog of war. You know, how like even individuals are still alive and how muddled things can be. So certainly that might even persist even in the spirit realm.
I think it does. And I think it can be somewhere. We've said this before, but somewhere there's this rule book that explains everything. And, we don't have it. We're just searching for these answers. But Haley, what do you feel about that? And Lola too. I mean, have you guys, when you're talking to someone, sometimes it's like a deep therapy. You have to get in there and just explain. Some are very erratic. What's your experience on that?
I always refer to the Book of the Dead when I know. No, I definitely, I don't know if they're on different planes or what, but I've definitely been around them that they're not aware of each other. I've definitely been around some who are aware that they have crossed and some who are not aware that they have crossed. I'm not really, we don't know what's going on until we won't know. Yeah. So I don't know, but I saw a lot of chaotic energy ones, like your mentioned. What about you, Lola?
Yeah, I agree with Haley.
I got to break in. Dave's running the Overlist as we're talking. Just came in over the old Overlist soldier.
Oh.
So it's nice.
It's down here watching.
Wow.
We're getting sitting here, yeah.
That's amazing. It sounds like they want to get started.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, let me do a couple things here real quick. First off, I want to thank everybody, including yourself. We've had Tammy, a number of people, of course, Janet, who helped out there. There's so many different groups and people who really helped us. And my God, I mean, the avenues have been opening up. I mean, I'm in a constant state of paranormal hangover anymore.
I'm paranormally pooped myself.
I don't know. I don't know, but we really want to thank everyone. I will, after I get this week coming up out of the way, I'll be done with my accounts. We will be back fast and furious putting stat on. They just posted a whole lot of new videos from the SLS and things like that are on the Facebook page. So everybody can avail themselves to all of that. We also have our web page, which is through keystotheunknown.com, and we post a lot of that data and stuff, evidence on our web page, but there it's specific to a location. So if you thought you saw it on the Facebook page and want to save time, you can go to the location. Hopefully it'll be there. So we are getting back to getting that on. Just as a brief shot into what's upcoming, we have, at the end of this month, we're doing a paranormal fair home in Chambersburg, and afterwards we have a get-together over at Terry and Amanda's that's open to the public. That first weekend in November, we will be at the Paracon in Poasttown, Super Paracon at Poasttown Elementary. We'll be there both Friday and Saturday night. It'll be Mike, Haley, Dave, and myself. Who's the guest?
Dale and Spratt from Ghost Brothers.
Yeah, Dale and Spratt from Ghost Brothers will be there. And we've got a booth and stuff, and that's a very special place. And then we'll actually, on this week's show on Thursday, we're having a big reveal. We're going to be having a joint venture with Elite Paranormal.
Yes.
And even the guys have designed some really great looking stuff. So we're going to be revealing that and the contact points. And we've got, within a month of that, we have a real special treat for everybody. So I'm sworn to secrecy as far as the location. We're going to be revealing it that week. So everybody stay tuned for that. And then it's still done, man. We've got the complete Cataldo up in Kane, Pennsylvania, we've got an entire village that's been open to us. It consists of a mansion, a bed and breakfast, the seminary, the train station, private. So that's going to be a big ongoing project into the new year. So as you can see, our slate's pretty full, and we'll be posting all that stuff for everyone. And we just want to thank everybody who listens to us and supports us, and especially like Mike and Lola. These guys were all instrumental in getting Dave and I back really hot into the field again. We had, with life circumstances and everything, we were down period and sort of came in, and then we found Haley and brought her into the mix. Of course, she's a wreck now from it all. She doesn't have but it's really fascinating. We've met so many wonderful people who have their own rich histories and results. So
and it's beautiful. I've seen them. I mean, I only got to be on a couple of investigations. We were running around so fast, but everywhere we went, we were getting fantastic results, and the chemistry with you guys is just wonderful. And I felt like I'd known you all my life, just standing right there with you. I don't know if I had to say what my favorite part was, honestly. Standing with my brothers, and saluting the flag for the Star Spangled Banner was pretty special because I know we weren't standing alone. I know you guys got your first ceremonial sage cleansing. That's Sunday.
And that was so great. And since then, I've been on Cat's Claw that you were, and also Kratom. I found a Kratom, and oh my God, between the two, it's like, I mean, I've reversed a couple years physicality. So
it's
I think
amazing. And I know Dave and Mike too. They and Haley. We were trying to light the sage, and I got Haley is supposed to do it, and boy, she lit it. It lit right up, didn't it, Haley?
So good with fire. Let's go.
But it was amazing. It was real nice to stand out there and do that ceremonial saging. It was just something else I could do for you guys, and I had my my turkey buzzard feather fan and stuff, and it was just so nice to get all of that. It was just a perfect ending to that weekend, and I can't tell you what it meant to me to be able to do those investigations with you and cross those poor souls over. And I don't think it's going to be the last time. We're going to do it again.
No, we're really good. I know the time's going to fly by, and that will be in July this year. So hopefully maybe something before then, but at very least we will have something really special going on in July. So I think we're going to, Dave's going to pop in here.
A lot of the locations that we knew about as far as Pennsylvania on the International Ghost Hunters Day, we're donating most, if not all, of their funds to Little Connor from the Bad.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the word that we've got now is it's more than likely going to be for a funeral fund.
Oh, no.
He's been in the hospital, unconscious, seizures.
Oh, no.
I know we donated a big chunk of money, and I think everything that came from the event over the Dave Stewart farm went to that. So, if anybody who's taking time to listen, go on to the Gettysburg Ghost Exchange page, read up about Little Connor, and send him as many prayers as you can get.
Lots and lots of prayers, and blessings to Connor, absolutely.
I've been on that one. I've been really too busy to even check my pages, but how about you? Have they got the expenses covered for him?
Oh, on mine? Yes.
Yeah.
His son brought him in. He flew home with his dad's ashes last night, and we are going to have a little memorial for him here too. Yeah, my son.
Yeah, but you got those costs covered, or did
yes.
we?
Yes,
okay.
we did.
Well,
thank you for asking. I mean, it was very simple. It was just the final expense, and he was a very simple man, and he had one wish, and we're going to make sure it's fulfilled. And I thank you for asking. It was an awful tragedy, but he went doing what he wanted to do, and God bless him.
We want to throw out, too, if everybody could send positive energies. I don't know what's going on, but there's so many friends of our associates in this community that are either having rough times from a financial base, a health base, life events, and I don't know, but it's rare the person who doesn't seem to be under attack today. And, anyhow, I just want to throw out, everybody would please, just in your daily prayers, ask for the strength of the Lord to be upon people, to bless them and to help them overcome their trials and tribulations. And then, of course, look at this horror of Michael and all this. I mean, it's just, it doesn't end.
I know, it just keeps coming. And we just got to keep putting the love out there, you know. Put the love out there for the living and the dead. We can't forget we're all connected, you know. And if it was us, we'd want somebody to help us or someone we loved, you know. And I'm just so grateful for this wonderful paranormal chain of help that we've been able to build along. Now we have somebody in trouble. We can kind of really quick think who can be best to help that person. And everybody chips in and reaches out and passes along information. And, you know, everybody thinks it's, you know, I mean, it's not just going out and getting information on ghosts or paranormal hunting or stuff like that. It's really a huge community. And a lot of times people, you'll hear them talking about paranormal unity. Well, if you're looking for paranormal unity, we have it right here. This is it right here. And everybody we met on the Gettysburg Bash, the same thing. It is alive and well, and everybody's trying to help each other. And, you know, the children that came through there, they were the real heroes. They were all suffering from cancer, leukemia, you name it, and so many hands trying to reach out and help these children. And you know, you just can't forget. You never know what your neighbor's going through. You never know what somebody else is suffering through. So always put out that love if you can. Help somebody if you can. And in our way, we try to do it. You know. And I want to ask each one of you, I always ask this of my guests, what has speaking with the dead taught you about living? Anybody want to answer that question? What have we learned from the dead we've talked to about living life today?
Anybody want to chime up on any?
I've actually learned something. I have learned that there are people that up until recently, had in my life that if they were disembodied, I would not communicate with. And I should probably go ahead and follow that rule for the living as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's just goes to show, too, that everybody on a lot of these shows and stuff, you see, oh, you've got a demon. You know, most of the time, it's an angry human being that just doesn't understand what's going on and trying to get your attention. If someone is angry or a jerk in life, more than likely, if they've chosen to stay and they're going through all that erratic stuff too, they're going to be just like that. So I could see where, that was. Anybody else?
You're going, Mike.
I was just going to say real quickly, I think the biggest that I've learned by speaking with the dead is that they're always around us. It doesn't matter where you go, the spirits are around us. And for the people don't believe in it, that's fine. Everybody has their own opinion, but I've learned no matter where you're at, what you're doing, they are around, and you're not alone.
That's true. Absolutely true.
I'm going to end with my big mouth. I know it's been, and the thing that impresses me so much is I've learned love is an eternal force and an eternal element, and also I truly believe this. It's the key to our own progression and spirituality, to our own ascension to higher principles. It's all executed through love. And that love includes not only love of others, but oftentimes love of self. So many people beat themselves up and where they can't get ahead. So I'm like a hippie like that, but
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. How about you, Lola?
I think that, dealing with some things in my life, I have found that, I don't want to regret anything. I want to be able to do something that meant something to somebody, that I'm going to be away. I don't want any regrets. And I know because, I talked to my dad, and so he has so many regrets, and it's just like every single day we take the least little things for granted.
Yes.
As far as, being in the sunshine or, eating a great meal, we take so many things for granted, and I know the regrets my dad had and that he didn't get to, do when he was alive. And I want to try and do everything I can, and I'm not going to be able to, but I think that's my, thing. I don't want any regrets.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. All of those are beautiful, and they all say something. You hear all the different answers, and it all is almost like a notebook or an outline, an instruction manual, basically, for life. If somebody is, if you don't connect with somebody's energy and they're not good for you in your life, and you don't want to, deal with them, stop. You don't have to. You don't have to allow that negativity. Love is the answer. Love is the key to ascension. Love is the key to connecting us all and caring and lifting each other up instead of dragging each other down. And no regrets. And those are all the things. Fear of the unknown. And also, not forgiving yourself. And what we've all just said right there is almost Ghost Prevention 101.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Because I have people ask me all the time, well, what's making a ghost or holding a ghost back or whatever? What makes them stay? And that's it right there. And then when we connect them into that love and get them to remember it and raise their vibration, that's usually when they can let things go. Once they've said their piece, they can usually let go. So I think it's awesome. I can't thank you guys enough for being here tonight. I know you're so busy. I just wanted to express a little bit about that, that wonderful experience we all had, and Dave and Jim and Mike and Haley and all of us, and Lola, it's lovely meeting you. I can't wait to do it again. And if people could see that that's how cool it really can be, I think a lot of this fear of what the afterlife is like would kind of go away, because it's just like everybody just said, and I think that's beautiful. So thank you all so much for coming in and sharing some time with us tonight.
And you take care, and we love you, and stay well, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, you guys. Go help some ghosts now. Go help them.
Good night.
Good night. Well, there you go, guys. There's just a little bit of what happened there at the Gettysburg Bash in Pennsylvania with Keystone State Paranormal Society. And I thank Dave and Mike and Jim and Haley and Lola for being here tonight. That's what it's about. Yes, it's wonderful to get the EVPs, and there are some from that evening on their site. I've heard them. I had one that just, nope, I gotta say it, I almost EVP'd myself when I heard it, because the man was standing right in front of me, and he said, "I hear you're aware of all of us." And I can tell you at the time when that was going on, I was just, there was so much energy. We were just like bombarded with it. We were trying to sort it at the time. And I didn't hear it in my head, but I felt, like, yeah, you're all standing right here. And that's what threw me, because I didn't hear the EVP of it till, a couple weeks later. On the tape, you're going to hear us, playing the song, and like I said, I've got to sing something to lift because they're not remembering what love felt like, to try to raise that vibration a little bit and bring them all together. And I'll tell you, it was an amazing thing. And when that woman said that, when I asked, does anybody want help? And they said, please. And then it was help, help on two different machines. Two different machines said help. It was amazing. So I said, okay, let's get started. Let's see if we can do this for you, and it was lovely, and everybody helped. Everybody, it took everybody in that basement just bringing in, filling it in with white light and sending out their good energy, and the other side doing the same thing. And it really was a combination of everyone pulling together to help total strangers that just happened to be dead. And it was quite amazing. So for me, that's what this is all about. For Keystone State Paranormal Society, that's what this is all about. For so many different groups out there, that's what it's about. Yes, it's getting all that stuff on the equipment. A lot of it, like I said, I don't even understand. It's absolutely amazing. I can tell you that on the camera where it gathers, if it has enough energy, it actually makes like you can see the stick figures. Well, the stick figures, they were all like separated, and as we were talking to them, they would start moving up. And at one point when we played the song for them, there was one that was just dancing, to the music, and it was just, oh man, it was absolutely, it blows your mind. But when you're doing it, you kind of just stay in that, you have to stay focused. And it's easier for me to try to stay focused in with the energy, which was why it was so great to have everybody, one person on each piece of equipment, and that was their focus. And it was just a wonderful time. It really was. And that property and all in that area, there were so many there. I think we could do that every day for the next 10 years and probably not make a dent, because the more light that you show there and the more people there that are paying attention to them and speaking to them, the more that come, from all over. And it's overwhelming. It truly is. But I know Keystone State Paranormal Society and many of the societies. I met Twisted Paranormal out there. They're out of Virginia. Elite Paranormal. Dead is Not the End Paranormal, and several other ones. And they're all out there doing the same thing this group is doing. And the thing is there's so many groups, and it just keeps coming and keeps coming and keeps coming. I spoke to wonderful people that weekend. Jack Kenna, big shout out to you. I spoke to so many, Carol Nesbitt and Mark Nesbitt, and we sat at the table and we just spoke about other places there, people that, ghosts that were stuck, that we were all trying to work on, that we were trying to focus on, and see if we can go back and help them. I really have a couple that I really want to go back and, it's enough time and they're about ready to listen. Everybody's got the ones that they feel like they need to, they have a connection with, and they're going back and help, like that group of people in the cellar there that they almost got crossed, but they were just a little hesitant. And, I'd probably still be down in the cellar. Okay, look, I'm going to go make some sandwiches and we're going to start again, because I don't know if I could have left them that close, But, sometimes they get tired. Their energy, that's it. It takes a little while, I guess, to build that back up. One day we might have those answers where we can, find out exactly how to give them more energy. So, and I'm sure people are working on that. So we'll see. But just, I thank everybody. I thank, Pam and Steve from the Gettysburg Ghost Exchange out there. All your paranormal needs in Gettysburg. It's wonderful. And they are the ones that work tirelessly every year to bring the Gettysburg Bash together. And they've already got it scheduled, as you heard, in July of next year. So you can check them on their Facebook page. They're wonderful people. And it's all for wounded vets. And They do wonderful things, like I said, too, for the kids fighting cancer and other life-threatening illnesses that they had there. It's amazing seeing this group of people come together for this. It's a beautiful experience. If you get a chance to go, go. I'd like to thank the Wyndham Hotel, too. It's amazing to take on that many people, and they were all very gracious. I highly recommend it. Rooms are beautiful. The hospitality is wonderful. The food was great. So there were so many things going on. The bands, everybody that all chipped in for this cause is wonderful. So check out the Haunted Trails too. Terry and Amanda. Make sure you check their Facebook page. I know that they're doing some investigations out there now to help go towards making this historic property, available and renovating it so it doesn't cease to be. There's so many different historical properties out there that are, just getting old and people just don't take care of them, and they plan on taking care of this, and they're doing lovely work out there. I think they have 8 acres, and that's where the Haunted Trails are as well. So the monies that they find, that they get for these investigations go towards renovating that property and bringing it back to its historical splendor. Because you think about it, when we were there, they were talking about when they got the house, they couldn't even buy doors for the house because the house was so old. The doors weren't square, and they're off size. So it takes extra funds to bring it back historically accurate. And they find artifacts on the property. They don't sell them. They put them on display. They have a little museum going on there. It's wonderful what they're doing. So think about that. If you're close by and you want to go do a trip like that, you can. I think you can camp out there. Check into that. It's a worthy cause. And I've heard my other friends talking about that too. Ron Iacovetti, when he was on here, he was speaking about a lot of these historical places are getting funds that way now. They're having the investigations in there, and the money is going to keep those places alive. Otherwise they would be forgotten and they wouldn't be getting the funding that they need to keep them up, to keep the properties up. So it's really, the paranormal world has found a way to give back in so many different ways, and I hope we give you a little bit with this show. I also want to mention Scotty, the NJ Medium. Go to his website, Scotty, the NJ Medium. He's doing some really exciting things right now. He's getting in all kinds of different stuff. He also investigates with PARS. So go to his website, scottydhenjmedium.com. And if you give him the code Sysco, Sysco, you will get 10% off your first reading. And I can tell you, go in there, read his reviews. You won't be disappointed. Scotty does a great reading over the phone, in person. I know he does groups here in New Jersey as well. And also he does investigations. So, like I said, he's got a little bit of it all going on there. But don't forget, code Sysco, Scotty the NJ Medium. Also check out that site because there's a lot of wonderful blogs on there about psychic development and mediumship and how to work with your abilities or find out if you have them. Anything from tarot card, all kinds of different stuff in there, and it's all free. And a lot of people don't give away that information for free. So that's a great source for a lot of your paranormal needs and great readings. You can't beat it. Also, don't forget, this podcast is it's just me. I run it myself. If you want to try to help out, we have, go to tpublic.com/user/Sysco. Go to that storefront page, and we have like 12, 14 different designs. Everybody loves our little crispy mascot, the little friendly ghost on there, and he's doing all kinds of stuff. There's t-shirts and mugs and notebooks and stickers. Some of them, we just have the logo, and some of them are crispy, doing his thing. And a little bit of that goes to help keep this podcast on and keep it free for you. Also, if you can't do that, share the podcast. It's great. Here's Halloween. We have lots of good ghost ghost stories going on, and share the podcast. And I appreciate all my listeners. We have them all around the world now. It blows my mind that people in China are listening to the podcast, or places like New Zealand and Canada, and here in the United States and in the UK. It's absolutely wonderful. Go back if you're looking for some ghost stories, just solid ghost stories, wall to wall. We have some great ones. Episode 1, Truly Ghostly, is all true ghost stories and different types of ghosts. We have so many we have 2 different ones from Simon Entwistle out of the UK, Britain's finest ghost stories. He's got a couple episodes. Scotty the NJ Medium's got one on there. We have Rob Guttrow. We have Mark Nesbitt talking about psychic crime scene investigation and all his wonderful knowledge on Gettysburg. We've got the KPS episode. So just go back through there. I mean, there's so many wonderful guests and ghost stories to fill in, play around the campfire or get you in the mood while you're decorating your house for Halloween. We really appreciate you guys. If you have your own ghost stories, send them to journeythroughthegate@gmail.com, or come on our Facebook page at Journey Through the Gate Paranormal Portal Podcast Gatekeepers and ask your questions and put up your pictures and all that. We just love to have you, and I love each and every one of you. And thank you for being with us tonight. And don't forget, keep your feet under those covers and keep that closet door shut, because there are things that go bump in the night.